me! Ah!
Why did you choose the career path you did?
Okay, so I have a couple of career paths I've chosen, but currently I am a percussionist, a songwriter, a performer, and then there's like another lane. I'm a co-founder and co-director of a nonprofit called the Rock and Roll Camp for Girls Los Angeles. So I sort of have these two different routes, one of which is like a performing musician and touring musician, and one that's running a nonprofit. Why did I choose it? Was that the question? Okay. Gosh, that's a really great question. I think my whole life I've pursued creative pursuits, like I've always been interested in like making little videos or being in theater or speech and debate or marching band or things like that. So I always, even though I was a good student, I liked to be a good student and I liked school a lot. I always went like towards the extracurriculars. And then when I went to high school and I was doing all of those things. And then I went to UCLA and I was always pursuing these like extracurricular activities, which included like community building. Like if you're ever familiar with like the dorms and things like that, in the dorms I was a resident assistant. So like my job there was to like be a resource for people on my floor or like put on programs. And I really, really loved that. And so all of these things that I was pursuing, like I pursued flamenco dancing in college. I wasn't very good at it, but that was like an expression. It was like a creative art pursuit. Or marching band. I was in the marching band. That was super fun. That was community and music making. So I just always sort of like went down these paths of like fun and community and spirit and stuff like that. So I think when I got into my band Raining Jane was just like it was an extracurricular. It was like we're going to be in a band, but we kept pursuing that, and then I think it was just sort of like this natural destination that happened. That was like, oh my gosh, I think I should tell you this too. I was an economics and communications major at UCLA. So I thought I was going to go and get a master's in business and maybe do something in the world of economics or business or something, because I never thought being a musician would be viable. Like that wasn't even a thought, or art. I didn't think like pursuing creativity in an expression was like a viable means of being an adult with a job. But I always knew I would do it on the side. So then it felt like Raining Jane and being a musician was like, that's like a part of my like identity, but it's not my job. It's not my career. But once Raining Jane started like becoming viable and making money, I was like, what? I could like chill with my best friends. I can help use my economics degree to like book shows and like make a spreadsheet of our tour and routing. I can I can make money, but like not too much money. Like don't get crazy. Like all those things. Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is cool. Like, we should just pursue this organically. And this is not going to last forever. And I'm going to probably go back to grad school and then I'm going to get a job that my parents will be proud of, you know? And then fast forward 20 years and I'm still pursuing music. I did it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So that's sort of like, it wasn't, I thought I was going to become a musician ever, 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 ever. But it was sort of like this organic thing that kept unfolding. And then the other route, which was rock camp, it's totally an offshoot of that organic like pursuit of things that felt really, really genuine to me and felt like my favorite things in the whole world, which were like create something with your community and people that you love, make noise, make music, make art, make a space that's super cool. This is not a path I think that my parents could imagine for me. And so then I was like, I trust them and like they know. But then there was like a deep knowing inside of myself that was like, this is cool and this feels true. And I'm gonna find a way to like keep doing this no matter what my job is.
What were like the education experience that you think were probably the most critical in shaping your career?
Okay. So like I was saying, like I studied economics and communications at UCLA. So that's one thing. Secondly, I was really into speech and debate. I was like an HI state champion. I actually was a coach. I was a speech and debate coach at my high school for a long time when I graduated from UCLA. So shout out to Mrs. Gay Brasher from Leland High School in San Jose, California, who like was the best coach and the best mentor and ended up being a boss because she hired me to be part of the staffing, the coaching staff. So totally, right? So communication skills. So media works and how, again, interpersonal communication versus communication outside of self. Hello? Okay.
Could you describe like a hardship or like challenge you've had to overcome?
In terms of like hardship, um, with this with this career path is like it's freelance. Like I'm not a musician hired by a company and I'm not a lead person, like I'm not a lead singer and I'm not a solo performer. So I have to always collaborate with somebody or be hired by somebody in a way. I've done solo performances, but it's just not like something that is really interesting to me. It's a curious feeling sometimes of like, am I ever going to be hired again? Is anyone ever going to want me to use my tambourine for them? And really, part of that solution is to make art for myself and to practice and prepare so that when an opportunity does come, I'm ready. But then also, I think one of the great benefits of being in a band since college, Raining Jane, since 1999, um, is that we always have each other to make music with, regardless of if we're hired for something or not. It's like that's our pure pleasure and joy to like make music together. So we're always gonna have that family relationship, that sisterhood to create music and or be of service together like at rock camp, right? Every year we sort of have to ask these questions like, are people still interested in this? Do we have a location? Do we have enough funding? Like all those things come every year. So that's sort of a hardship too, right? And both of those things that I just sort of mentioned were like the fear of the unknown is like, am I going to be able to sustain a career as a musician? And am I going to be able to sustain this community space?
How has being a woman changed or altered your experience and career? Like, do you think it's made your job more difficult or just different?
Well, when I was 11 years old, I started playing the drums. And I was the only girl in my sixth grade band to play the drums. And that felt really cool and really scary because I was like, I don't see anybody like me playing percussion or drums. And my parents were definitely not interested in me playing the drums. They're like, do you have to bring them home? They were really nervous about the sound. I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm a girl, I can't do that. But I was thinking, I'm not supposed to do that. And I don't know why. Like, it was a really weird feeling. Now, I think, or I guess I will even speak for Raining Jane, like in the 2000, like 2003 to 2010, like that era when we were touring a lot in our van. I think it was so cool because we would actually toured a lot of colleges. We were doing a lot of college touring, or we would open for Sarah Bareilles. I don't know if you know who that is, which is amazing. And we would find that being women would be like have different reactions. Like sometimes we'd get to a venue and they would be like, "Oh, are you the girlfriends of the band?" And we'd be like, "We are the band, yo." I don't Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if that's happening anymore today because there's so much visibility about women in music. But when it was happening for us, it was a real challenge. It was like we were treated poorly because we were women and it was spoken. I mean, people had the gall to like tell us like, "Oh yeah, you're a chick band or whatever," like these kind of things and we'd just be like, "Oh, we kick any of your bouteilles, you know? So it actually, I think, made us want to be even better and more ferocious and rock even harder. So we used it to our advantage, but it was really a challenge. And then being a woman in drums was like, you know, trying to find opportunities and and have people's sort of like patriarchal view of like women and like, can you do that job? Are you going to be as good as a guy? And just feeling like, you know what? Like I'm gonna work it so hard and I'm gonna find my lane. I'm gonna find my lane, you know? So I do think it was challenging, and now I feel like it's such an asset. Like I am so proud of all the girls and women and female identified folks that are just like putting themselves out there and really expressing themselves. And we get to see it now on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Like we're seeing them everywhere now. But when I was like 11 years old, you know, it was just that one guy, Josh, who was in sixth grade with me that was playing drums. So like I saw him and was like, I don't look like you. Is that okay? You know? Yes, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, it's been different, but now I feel like, you know, it's wide open. It's wide open. And it just takes somebody being like, I want to do that. I want to express myself.
What's one unique or interesting experience you've had in your career?
The coolest thing I think I've ever done is go to Antarctica and play music in front of a glacier. And that was so crazy. Like Jason Mraz got invited by Al Gore, our former vice president, to go on a trip to talk about climate change. And Jason brought me to be his accompaniment musically. And then I got to be there for all the lectures and the conversations and stuff. But we went for a week to Antarctica and we got to play music every day and share songs and talk about climate change and what we could do to help. And then one day they took us out on a zodiac in front of the glacier and we got to play. And I was playing the cajon, which is a box drum that you sit on. And this drum is all about sound waves, you know, like you hit the front of the drum and it's like vibrating. And we got so close to the glacier and we were like, we better not play because the vibration might knock the glacier down. But we ended up going a little bit further out from the glacier and playing music. So that was super cool. You know, I've gotten to go to a few um, hospitals with Jason and play songs for people. We got to go to the Space Center in Houston, NASA, and we got to play music for the astronauts that were in space. We gave them a concert and they like, I don't know, that was so cool. And now I've started playing with an artist named Ebi, EBI. He's an Iranian artist. And I don't know if you know this, but in Iran, the regime right now, the government that's been there since 1979, they ban women from playing music in public. Women are not allowed to sing or play music. And if some women are allowed, but it has to be traditional music and they have to get um, like they have to get signed off by their husband or their dad or something. There's like some really wild laws there. So I've started playing with this Iranian artist who is the most wonderful man. He's 75 years old and he's like a pop icon of Iranian pop music. And it's crazy because I'm Iranian, but I was born in the USA. So like you know, I've always known of who Ebi is. I wasn't listening to Iranian music growing up. I was listening to like Madonna and Cyndi Lauper. But as I as I started playing with Ebi, um, I'm realizing now like the impact of being able to be a woman playing in a legendary Iranian man's band. And so that feels really like really, really special. And I've been able to go around the world with him. And I love his band. I love him. I love the fans. Like it's been a real like cultural experience for me. And right now, actually, I started a gig with Cyndi Lauper, like icon and legend of American pop music. And for me, growing up in the 80s, she was like such a hero. So now I've had these experiences, like a cultural experience with Ebby, like uh, an incredible like service experience with Jason Mraz, and now I get to be in the presence of like ferocity of women with Cyndi Lauper. So all of these things have been like super unique, um, and very enjoyable.
How has your work impacted your community or the world as a whole?
Yeah, I guess that sort of like ties in, right? So like music as service. Like I think when you're young, and maybe you're like, I want people to know me, I want to be rich and famous or whatever, like all of that, like when you're little, um, or maybe now, but maybe adults feel that way, but I definitely don't. Like I don't, I don't know. I don't assume anybody knows who I am, and I don't assume I don't want to be famous, but I do love that I play with people that have a reach, right? So like they're well known enough to have an audience that trusts them and loves them. And then I get to be a part of their messaging and a part of their work. So that's why I was saying like the coolest things that I've ever done is when music is serving a bigger picture. And I think, yes, for like Ebby and the Iranian world, it's so cool that like I'm working with a man that believes in women's rights and equality for everybody in my culture. Like that is so powerful, and that he trusts me to be a woman in his band, to kick booty, and he trusts that like I'm going to do a great job and represent him, and it's that is like a total dream. I think he tells me like he gets messages online that are like thanking him for having women in his band because that's not possible really, right? I think with Cyndi Lauper, like she's really working towards equality and fundamental rights for women. Actually, she has a really cool, her song Girls Just Want to Have Fun. She has a nonprofit called Girls Just Want to Have Fundamental Rights. That is so epic, right? That's her song. And like, she's not just singing songs, like, she's going out and advocating for equality. Jason is the same way. Jason is working for arts inclusion, he's working for equality, he's working for climate awareness. And like, I'm just so blessed to be working with people that use their music to serve a bigger purpose. And like, that's my dream come true, is like getting to getting to be a part of teams that are like care about people and care about the world. My message, like as a percussionist or performer versus like being a person who runs a nonprofit that centers, like Rock and Roll Camp for Girls Los Angeles is a nonprofit dedicated to empowering young people, right, through music. So I mean it's about like inclusion and equality and expression, and like it's the same kind of stuff, right? So that feels like all of those, that mission I would try to like funnel into the music, funnel into a camp, because it feels really true for me. It's like, yes, that is, it's not even a career goal. I think it's like a life goal. It's like a person goal. Sharing music with a message and creating a safe space for young people. Like,
What advice do you have for young girls striving to make a difference in their community?
great question. Striving to make a difference in your community. Ah, you know, you don't have to do much. I really, okay. So I think when you're around this age, like when you're between like 14 and 17, like a lot of it sometimes is focused on like college applications. I think things have changed. I think, as a young person that's like, you're on that track of like, I like school, I want to be helpful, I want to get more education, I want to blah, all that. Okay. So I think sometimes we can get confused with like what will look good on a piece of paper versus what feels true. And you don't have to do much to make an impact. And so sometimes I think people are like, well, I don't know if I like speech and debate, and I don't know if I want to volunteer at the beach cleanup, and I don't know if student government is where whatever. So then you just end up like waffling a lot and like wasting your time, right? But I think like if people, young people would like take a minute and just think about like, oh my gosh, what are the opportunities that I have around me to be of service? Like being of service in the smallest way, right? You see like, oh my gosh, my family could use help unloading the dishwasher. Now, that's not something you're going to put on your college essay. Okay. If you do, I'd love to hear it because that's going to be a real creative essay. Okay. But I think that this is where it's like a mindset thing as a young person of like, how can I help? Because it's going to make you more attuned to like what's happening around you. And then you're going to just be in a more aware state of mind, and you're going to help the vibration and frequency. Now I'm going to get a little woo woo on you, okay? But then you're helping the vibration and the frequency of exactly where you're at. Okay, cool. I'm not going to put that on my essay. It may not help me maybe on my next ambition of going to college, but it's going to help the energy in my home. Oh my gosh, all of a sudden I feel like better about myself, and oh my gosh, now my sister's like asking how she can help me, and I need help like building this volcano for science. I don't know, this is now I'm just going off, okay? But I do think like you don't have to do much, and you don't have to do something that's like worthy of writing it down on your resume, but this sort of awareness is going to like totally impact your place in the world and in community. So then all of a sudden you're seeing people in high school differently. And you're noticing like, yo, like we had a trash problem in my quad, okay? Which we did at Leland High School, class of 1995. I'm very old. So what did we do? We saw this trash problem and we're like, we have to make a campaign for, cleaning up is cool. I don't think I included that in my college application, but gosh, did it make me feel like I impacted and made a difference in my high school. And then that just made me feel like somebody that I could do something to change and improve exactly where I am. It doesn't have to be this major thing, but guess what? From there, from like cleaning up my high school quad, I went to UCLA, and then I was like, how can I make a difference in my community? I became an RA, a resident assistant. And then I went from there, and then you know what I mean? Like it just kept. So now that I'm the co-director and co-founder of Rock and Roll Camp for Girls, that happened because I believed I could improve my community with my actions. So like I'm directly like now Rock Camp is like such a true and authentic endeavor because it's exactly who I am in the world anyway. Like, and it's just extending that out and trying to help my community. Do the small thing around you, and it's just as many of those things that you do, it's plus, 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 plus. It doesn't have to show itself right away, and it doesn't have to be written down for a college application to be of value. And you're just going to see how it's going to improve the world at large for real, though.